Roger.
Now,
Roger, may I quickly tell you that Irv Lipscomb says hello. Irv down in Orlando.
oh, okay. Hello.
I talked to him yesterday.
Okay, so Sue and Tim are here. Hi, Sue. I'm glad to see y'all.
Hello,
So
Sue.
Hi, Sue.
this is our 4th class. It's the last one in May, but I told Mandy that we would also do tunes in June with Zoom.
Nice.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right.
I like tunes in June. That's fine.
All right. So I'm glad that Stu is here. Hi, Mike. Good to see you all. So everybody needs to mute just so we won't have background noise. Michael, you unmuted yourself. I'm going to mute you. Okay. All right. So Sue inspired this class's topic when she sent me this email. And here's what she wrote to me. Quote, I would be interested in hearing about how hymn tunes get recycled into other types of pieces, anthems, and instrumental works, ... and how tunes from other types of works get made into hymns, and how tunes come from many different places, traditions. So it's a huge topic, but I thought, oh, what fun is this? So I thought tonight we would talk about, hey, Alex, we would talk about hymns that that come not from people who write it specifically for hymn tunes, like a hymn or whatever, but come from larger works like symphonies, oratorios, anthems, or you know, or smaller scale pieces. So that was fun. And so to me, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg. What comes first, the hymn or the work? And sometimes it's kind of confusing, but it's a lot of fun. So when we borrow from the great works from like Bach and Haydn and Handel and all those guys, we borrow from their larger works, as I just said. And this was done early in the 19th century, and it was shaped American hymnody, and Lowell Mason was at the front of it. And I just learned that Lowell Mason, he was, you know, in the Boston area, and he had a hymnal published by the Haydn Handel Society, but he was the first one, get this, to put together the text of Mary Had a Little Lamb with a tune. Now, isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Yes, I thought that was interesting. So anyway.
One of the great hymns of our hymn book.
Stop it, Michael. Anyhow, so what comes to mind for you in our hymnal that comes from a larger work? Raise your hand. Sue, you got to unmute.
Joyful, joyful, we adore thee.
Yes, I mean, that is the big one. So here's a little bit background. Of course, the symphony came first. You know, it's Beethoven's big, you know, his last symphony and his big movement, last movement. So Marissa, you want to play that clip? I think it would just be fun to hear it and watch it. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Betsy. Hi, everybody.
Nicht diese Töne, sondern lasst uns angenehmere anstimmen und freudenvollere. Freude Wecker funken, Tochter aus Elysium. Wir betreten feiertrunken, himmlische, dein Heiligtum. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen wären Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel war. Deine Zauber binden wieder, was die Mode streng geteilt. Alle Menschen wären Brüder, dein sanfter eines Freundes Freund zu sein, der ein volles Weib errungen, mische seine Jubel, das uns an.
Sorry about that, but we don't have the time for all of it. I just love that soloist. I mean, my gosh, he really gets into it. So of course, that's Beethoven, and we all know that tune so well. And so here's a little thing that I've learned so much. This class has been so good for me because I learn more just by researching it. But anyway, Edward Hodges, who was the organist at Trinity Church in New York, okay, so an American, adapted Beethoven's tune, and it was published in his book, The Trinity Collections of Church Music, 1864. So he was the first one to take that tune and put it with Henry Van Dyke's words. So what the words you've heard were, the text was by the poet Schiller, and of course it's in German, and the translation just quickly is: joy, beautiful spark of divinity, daughter of Elysium, we enter, drunk with fire, heavenly one, the sanctuary. The magic binds again, what customs strictly divided. All people become brothers, where thy gentle wing abides. Whoever has succeeded in the great attempt to be a friend's friend, whoever has won a lovely woman, add his to the jubilation. Well, that's not quite sacred text, is it? So what Henry Van Dyke did was he loved nature, and he was inspired by Berkshire's mountain, okay? And so he wrote the poem that we now attribute to Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. So anyway, that's a very clear example of taking something from a larger work and then setting it to a hymn. Okay, any questions about that one? All right, so the next one is, of course, is from an oratorio. So that was from a symphony. And this one is based on the hymn, The Spacious Firmament on High, and it is taken from Handel's oratorio, The Creation. You want to play that one, Marissa? You want to play the tune? Wait a minute, Marissa, would you play the tune first? There were two of them I gave you. One was I just want to make sure everybody knows the tune. Or I could sing it. Would that be helpful? Maybe I didn't. It's okay. So the tune is, y'all know it? You want to sing with me? The spacious firmament on high. Ba-da-dee-da, bum, bum, bum. Do y'all know that tune? Just to make sure. Everybody knows that? Carol, you know that? Y'all sing that at Trinity? Great. All right. So now she's going to play from The Creation, the oratorio, the section that has the heavens are telling. That's the hymn. Great. Now she's going to play The Creation. Sorry. That's a very fast clip, isn't it?
Yeah, so I guess it's the second.
Yeah, it's a second one there. Mm-hmm.
Oh God, thou art my God.
You don't have it? I can't hear you.
No, the second link that you put under that one is a Purcell thing.
Whoops. All right, never mind. So anyway, this one is also pretty a direct quote of the same tune, and it's just set for 4 parts in our hymnal. And in fact, the other thing I learned that it was used as a hymn. Its use as a hymn was partially anticipated by Hyde himself in a tune he wrote for William Tattersall's hymnal, Improved Psalmody. So in other words, he took that tune and he envisioned it as it might be a good tune for hymns, but he also used this tune in creation. All right. So, and this tune was adapted by another organist, organist. His name is Bishop Sims, and I don't know if he was a bishop who became an organist. Usually it's the other way around. The musicians become priests, or his first name was Bishop. But he was an organist at St. Philip's Church in Birmingham, England. Okay. Now the next one is a more oblique reference. We all know the hymn Joy to the World, right? Yeah, I need to see your faces, right? And so this, of course, is a real widely known hymn sung always, I think, at most churches during Christmas. And so the research that talks about this is they attribute this tune may have originated from Handel's Messiah. So Marissa's now going to play this link under the oratorio. Lift up your heads. Well, so that was a stretch for me. You know, I hear ba, 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 ba. I hear a scale going down, but that was pretty common back then. And so then Michael and I had a discussion about it today. And Michael, you want to tell him, I'll unmute you. You want to tell him what you think it reminds you of? Why can't I unmute him?
There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Well, based on that article in the Hymnal Companion, which is very respectable, scholarly stuff, they suggest that another possibility from Messiah is the opening recitative and aria of the tenor, Comfort Ye. And particularly the second part of Comfort Ye, which reminds me of the second half of Joy to the World.
You want to sing that for him, please?
Oh.
You can do it.
Well, it's not sung. It's the orchestral accompaniment that reminds me of "And heaven and day to her sing, and heaven and day to her sing," where in the Messiah it goes bum 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 da da dum bum 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 da da dum bum 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 da da dum bum comfort ye.
Well done. Yeah.
Also
So
starts the scale down just as all these other ones do.
Right, and so Lowell Mason is the one who kind of, and others thought that maybe Handel was the author, the composer of this tune. I just think, I don't know, my idea is that those themes are pretty common in Baroque music, and that Lowell Mason loved the Haydn and Handel Society, or Handel and Haydn Society, and maybe he just thought it'd be great, and he was trying to use great composers and attribute hymn tunes to them. I don't know, but it was a stretch for me. Pardon me?
Yeah, there was a hymn tune that they printed a page from in the companion
Right.
that is called Comfort. The name of the tune is Comfort, and the speculation is that that was taken from Comfort Ye in the Messiah. And it's very similar to what we know as Antioch, Joy to the World.
Well, isn't that confusing?
Very.
Anyhow.
But I mean, all of this was going on around starting in 1833 and through about 1836, when these things were being put together by various hymnal editors and musicians.
Right, and my unscholarly view is that these composers have all these tunes in their head, and they forget, or they use it in one place, and then they use it in another, and they just keep borrowing, or they have these little motives, and then the scholars that come afterwards just make a big to-do about it. I don't know, but a descending scale is what Joy to the World is. That's how I teach the kids what a descending scale is. Well, it's not unusual. I mean, it's a scale. Anyhow, so that's Joy to the World. Now this next one, another Christmas tune, is Hark the Herald Angels Sings, and it's attributed to Mendelssohn, as it should be. And this tune was written for this, it's a smaller work. It's called Festgesänge zum Gutenbergfest. So it was written for the festival of the 400th anniversary of the printing of the Gutenberg printing press. So it was, and so of course Gutenberg is the first printed Bible. So this is the second movement, and it's called Lied Vaterland in deinem Gauen. So and it's originally by, we have a men's chorus, but I had a hard time finding this because it's kind of a lesser known work of Mendelssohn, but let's just hear a few measures of it, the first 20 measures. Okay, thank you, Marissa. Good, great. So clearly that is Hark the Herald, right? So this is interesting. The text, so that was a real Vaterland, that was a real nationalistic kind of a song for Germany and celebrating, the Gutenberg Bible or the printing press. And anyway, it was later, of course, paired with the great Charles Wesley hymn. And it was thought as the Christmas hymn, as is Jesus Christ Risen Today is thought as the Easter hymn. But the original tune was with Jesus Christ is Risen Today. So let's see, can I do this? Can you sing can you sing Hark the Herald Angels Sing to the tune Jesus Christ is Risen Today? Jesus Christ. Oh, hark the herald angels sing, glory to the. You got it.
Glory to the
Right.
new King.
It's weird, isn't it? But that's how it was originally paired. And then later on, it was they tried out different kinds of tunes, and it finally landed on this Mendelssohn tune. And Mendelssohn had said he thought this tune would become more popular. I mean, I think he really liked this tune, but he says, but not as a hymn. So this is what he wrote in the letter, which I just love this. It says, this is a letter to William Bartholomew. No, excuse me, wrong. He commented on an English translation. Okay, so anyway, here it goes. It says, I think there ought to be other words than those of Bartholomew to number 2, the lead, which the original text he had. If the right ones are hit at, I am sure that piece will be liked very much by the singers and the hearers, but it will never do to sacred words. There must be a national and merry subject found out, something to which the soldiers like, and buxom motion of the piece has some relation, and the words must express something gay and popular as the music tries to do. So what I take from that is he didn't think it would fly, you know, as a hymn, and maybe that's a commentary on hymn tunes in his day. They're kind of sad and blah, 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 or whatever. And he thought of this hymn as very buxom and gay. I don't know. But anyway, what does he know, right? He missed that one out, right? All right. Oh, all right, Jack, that's enough. Okay. Do y'all have any questions thus far? Any comments? I know I'm barreling through.
Very interesting, Betsy. Very, very, very interesting.
Okay,
Love
good.
Love it.
Well, you can thank Sue for the topic. Oh, yes, Michael?
I have a comment way back to Beethoven.
Oh.
It's just my sense, no scholarship at all in this, but it's my sense that the hymnal 1982 was probably the first American hymnal, at least, to include the syncopation on the last line of the Ode to Joy.
Yeah, that's right. I think most hymnals, when they took that tune, they evened out. So, ba ba beep ba beep ba 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 beep ba 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 beep ba ba ba. That syncopation right there in the third line.
Right.
They felt like maybe congregations can't get it. But the hymnal 1982.
And they still can't.
It doesn't matter. We keep trying.
Right.
Yeah, some do. But anyway, all right. So the next one is a pretty obvious one. And do you all know the hymn, Come Away, My Truth, My Life? Do I need to sing it? Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath. Got it. All right. It's a beautiful hymn. That's right. And so this comes from Vaughan Williams' 5 Mystical Songs. It's for baritone solo, chorus, and an orchestra. So I want you to hear the original.
Sorry.
That's okay. Try again. It needs to go all the way to the back.
Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way a life as killeth death. Come, my light, my feast, my strength, such a light as shows a feast, such a feast as mends in length, such a strength as makes his guest.
I love that. That's just beautiful. In our hymnal, of course,
Can we get him for our choir?
I think he's dead by now. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Well, that doesn't
Who
matter.
was that? Who was that singing? God, it was gorgeous.
It was the man.
I know, but who was it?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to look on it. I have that CD, but I don't remember who it was. But he was beautiful. It was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
And but so what they did is, and I think the 1982 hymnal did this. They took that gorgeous tune, and you know how in the third verse it just goes to it modulates and goes higher, but they just kept it so strophic so that congregations could sing it. But it's great because it's a wonderful text by George Herbert, that fantastic, 17th century poet and priest and musician. So anyway, that's a pretty clear example of borrowing from these great works. So here's another one. Now this one is Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. I grew up on the old tune. I can't remember the hymn tune of it, the tune name of it. But this is, the tune name that we have in ours is Repton. And I first knew this tune from accompanying an anthem based on Perry's tune, Dear Lord and Father. So the composer is Charles H. Perry. So I always thought that they borrowed this tune from that anthem and they put in the hymnal. But I was wrong because this was written for an oratorio that he wrote of Judith, book of the Apocrypha. So this text, the original text is it's about, of course, let me just read a little bit of it. It says, long since in Egypt's plenteous land our fathers were oppressed, but God, whose chosen folk they were, smote those who long enslaved them there. So it's basically talking about the slaves in Egypt, and it goes on to talk about the Red Sea. So that was the original text. So did I tell you, can you play the original, the oratorio? That's next. I want you to hear this one. So that's a beautiful tune, and actually the accompaniment is so similar to the anthem that we sing of that setting to a different text, Dear Lord and Father. So those are pretty clear examples of some of the hymn tunes that were borrowed directly from larger works. Another one is, of course, a well-loved hymn at St. John's, and I'm sure elsewhere. And this is Henry Purcell's Christ is Made the Sure Foundation. And this comes from his verse anthem. The anthem is, O God, thou art my God. We have sung this a few times, not recently, but it ends with a big hallelujah. All the word is just hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So let's hear that one. And you all recognize that tune, right? Yeah, so that's pretty, that's a clear example. This is from, of course, a smaller work. And I'm sure there are more in our hymnal that borrow from these larger works. But the interesting thing is now these some of the great composers are inspired to use hymn tunes that were originated as hymn tunes and incorporate them in their great works. So probably the most clear example, Marissa, and I don't know if everybody knows this hymn really well, but it's the second one. It's the, do you see where it says hymn, blah, blah, blah? I'm with the Bach now. So while she's looking for it, I want you to hear this hymn because we don't, I don't know if the Methodists sing it or the Presbyterians, but we have a hymn called Come With Us, O Blessed Jesus, and it's based on a chorale tune. And Bach never wrote an original hymn tune, but he did more for hymnody maybe than anybody else in that he took this great body of literature of these German chorales, and which had wonderful, interesting rhythms. And but what he did, he straightened out the rhythms, made them easier, and he did 4-part settings of them. And now they become a staple in our hymnody repertoire. So she's just going to play this tune that's harmonized by J.S. Bach that we sing, Come With Us. This is Detroit. that is the tune, and now she's going to play. It's from. So Bach had this in his repertoire. He did not, of course, he did not write the tune, but he used this in Cantata 147, and I think many of you will be very familiar with this setting because you hear it all the time. Thank you. You know, I could have stopped it short, but it's just so nice to hear some things just in kind of their completeness. So anyway, you all recognize that, I'm sure. We've organists have played this ad nauseum. So it's nice to hear it with a string orchestra.
Betsy,
Yes.
can I just jump in and say that particular recording sets a pretty high bar in terms of tempo for playing that piece for us organists.
Well, we just don't
They
play
they really move it along. We drag it out like a dirge sometimes.
Well, it's
Well,
easy
I
to
want to
It's
ask
More notes to play.
I want to ask you.
One note at a time. We're playing 3 staffs and 4 limbs.
Well,
Does
that's exactly right. I mean, the strings only play one part. They can go lickety split, and we've just, like Carol says, we've got 4 limbs, so. But maybe not that bad.
Can I ask a question about that church,
I don't know the church.
St. John's in Detroit? Does anybody know? Do they still have their altar against the wall and the priest faces it?
Yeah, that's in, yes, that he's not talking about the clip we just saw, the hymn, where the choir was seated antiphonally, and the
Yes.
church, yeah. Yes, that's
I was just wondering.
I had a hard time finding a good recording of that text,
Yeah.
tune. You know, hymns are not a big thing, you know, on the internet.
Well, and I think the Episcopalians have a monopoly on that hymn. I've never seen it in another hymn book.
Have you ever seen that tune with a different text?
No,
Well, there you go.
I've never seen it in a hymn book. like that, like it is in the 1982. Right.
Do you think that's a positive thing?
Well, I think it's great. Well, the 82 has a whole lot of Bach chorales that
Yeah.
most other hymnals don't. So
Right.
it's a great resource.
I'd
Yes,
hate to do without it. It's a wonderful hymn.
Yeah.
it is.
It's
And you
beautiful.
know-
It's beautiful.
And you listen in the Bach Passions. I mean, you will hear so many. You'll hear "O Sacred Head." I mean, you'll just hear so many wonderful things that we sing in church. I mean, that you'll recognize. But just remember, he didn't write them. All right. So the next piece is also a tune that was written by Thomas Tallis. It's called The Third Tune. How's that for creativity? You've got the first tune, the second tune, the third tune. Anyway, but Tallis did a lot. He wrote hymn tunes, and it was, of course, a wonderful composer and fantastic tunes. And then Vaughan Williams actually called this orchestral work, it's for a string orchestra. It says, a fantasia on a theme of Thomas Tallis. So he even acknowledges in the title the composer of the tune, and it's so beautiful. So let's do you know, well, first of all, you know this tune. I heard the voice of Jesus say, come on to me and rest. Lay down your na, ya, 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 da, 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 dee, da, da. All right, here we go. Let's hear Vaughan Williams setting. Thank you, Marissa. Oh, don't you love how he writes for orchestra? It's such a lush, gorgeous sound. So this tune, the editors of the 1982 hymnal, they loved it. It's set to the text, I heard the voice of Jesus say, and it's also set for a hymn in Passion Tide, to mock your reign. So they use it twice. So those are pretty direct of use of tunes. This one I did not know. So the next hymn is called, we sing this at All Saints. It's Remember Your Servants, O Lord. It's a Russian Orthodox chant. So Marissa, could you play the first one? I'm hoping that's the tune. This is a setting of it.
Yeah, can I say before we leave the Thomas Tallis,
Yes.
that for any fans of Herbert Howells, that hearing this piece was what sort of inspired him to write symphonically and then to write for the organ. Like this was his sort of conversion experience to wanting to be a real composer, is listening to the Vaughan Williams for the first time.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And you know, Sue, your comment earlier or in the email to me was you would hear Elizabeth play things and you would recognize it. And so people who compose organ music often will do settings of hymn tunes all the time. And for that same reason, that you can connect to it and you know it. All right, this is, okay, this is the Beatitude, blessed are the pure in heart. So we didn't hear all of the Beatitudes. So that's what we have in our hymnal. And Carol, I don't know if y'all have a setting of the Beatitudes in the Methodist, or Michael, if y'all have anything like that in the Presbyterian.
Mm-mm.
But
Not
that's
that I'm aware
something.
of.
Yeah. But that's something that we sing on All Saints. And lo and behold, you'll never guess who uses this tune. Maybe you already do. Tchaikovsky's 1812 overture. Imagine that.
Who
So, yeah, so it's at the very, very beginning. And so Marissa's going to play that. It's not quite, I mean, it says he uses an Orthodox chant, and you can hear it. So let's hear this one. So it's not quite exactly the same. There's some modifications, but you can hear the similarity pretty clearly there, can't you? So, and of course,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it ends with, you know, cannons firing off and everything. But I think it's an interesting juxtaposition of, you know, an Orthodox chant that's, you know, about the Beatitudes, and of course with all the guns and rah rah rah. So
I thought it was a helpful thing with that link to say that this was the 1812 full with cannons, so that you'd be prepared.
Yes, well, if you want any of those links, I'll email them to you, and you can just hear the whole thing. Yeah, with cannons, I think that's a warning of anything. You know, just be careful. So that's just a little bit of what is in the 1982 hymnal, and I'm sure that the Presbyterian and the Methodists and Lutherans, they have theirs stories behind some of the hymn tunes in their hymnals. But what we don't have, there are two things, because I brought this up to the adult choir last Wednesday, that we were going to do this, and one of them mentioned Thaxted, I Vow to Thee My Country, which is from Gustav Holst's The Planets. It's from Jupiter. So we don't have that hymn in our hymnal, but it is used in England, and we do have anthems based on that tune that's set to, it's a more sacred text. But the one I want to end with that I thought was so beautiful, and maybe this is my Methodist upbringing, but Finlandia. Do y'all know Be Still My Soul? It is a gorgeous tune, and I've always loved that tune. And this was, of course, is somehow seen as the Finland's national anthem, although technically I don't think it is. But what I love about this, and it's a tone poem, so it's an orchestral piece that's trying to depict a scene, and basically I think a scene of Finland. So he, I think he ends with this, or no, he doesn't end, but it comes towards the ending. What I loved about this little clip is it shows all these gorgeous pictures of Finland. So let's end with that. And it's Be Still My Soul. Y'all know that tune? Be Still. Okay. Come in. Well, I forgot there were so many bears in that section, but hope you enjoyed the bears.
I hope it was a Finnish bear and not a Russian bear. They would not have liked that.
Well, I urge you to look at the whole listen to the whole thing and watch it, because Finland is so beautiful. And we actually have a chorister who is her mom's from Finland, Amelia Hayslip.
Yes.
And she used to sing to me tunes from Finland in Finnish. She would sing to me, but she and her sister would share. It was just great. But Amelia's great, and so I often think of her and her family. So
by the way, Betsy, and
yes.
all, especially Hilda, this tune is in the Broadman hymnal.
Well, I like it. I do. So anyway, that's just sort of a broad overview of hymns that either inspired composers to write larger works, or inspired people to take these wonderful tunes that composers wrote and make them into hymns. So I want to thank Sue again for a great question. And I want you to know I take all your topics suggestions seriously. So I got a hymn from Dennis Howard, and I still, Mike, I haven't gotten your thing about how do we plan services, music and all that. Okay. But I encourage you to just say whatever you're interested in, because this isn't really for me, although I'm having a great time learning things. It's mainly about what you're interested in, because I have a feeling that whatever you're interested in, other people will be as well. So anyway, so send them to me. So do you have any questions or comments about tonight's offering? Mike?
I have one question, please.
Yes.
Going back to Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. Mm-hmm. Repton is a wonderful tune. Why did I hear as a child and have to sing so often the 19th century tune Rest, with all the accidentals, and I got so sick of it after 6 years in day school.
Yeah, well, because that's what we had back then, and we weren't raised in England.
No.
So, but I'm sure that hymn tune means a lot to other people. Right now, I can't even think how it goes. Can you sing it for me, Mike?
Dear Lord and Father of mankind. It's just, you know,
It's
not me.
I remind everybody that it is also 19th century, and Repton is also 19th century.
Right.
Two sides of the pond, though. Two sides of the pond.
But you know, I learned early on that what I may not like is dear to someone else. You know, and that's a hard thing because even if it doesn't do anything for me, it's dear to them. And so we try to respect that because it's meaningful. I would say that to myself every time I'd go see my parents and go to their church, to be respectful. Because it matters to them. So I'm like you, I love Repton and it speaks to me. But I think that other tune might speak to others.
Thank you.
Sorry.
How diplomatic, Betsy. Very diplomatic.
Marianne, what's that?
How diplomatic. Very diplomatic.
Well, no, it's not. I really believe that.
I agree with you. But you know, let me put it that way. I've come to that late in my life. I wish I had come to that earlier in my life.
Well, I'm not as young as you think I am. I may have come that late in my life. So, Francis, what were you going to say?
I just wanted to say to Roger, a little humor, thank you so much for mentioning the Broadman hymnal. I felt at home for the first time. That was the hymn book that we used in my church when I first learned to sing, and when I could even play some of the songs on the piano. And I thank you for bringing the Baptists in all of this. I've really enjoyed all of it, but some of it was kind of foreign.
Francis, I love you.
Well, you know, Holmes County is not the cathedral in England, some cathedral in England.
Well, Francis, send me what you want us to talk about. We'll talk about.
Oh, I'm so interested in learning.
I know, but there's a lot. I bet Roger could lead a forum on the Broadman hymnal. Would you like to do that, Roger?
I'll sing the alto, Roger.
I think it was, well, there are a lot of good hymns in the Broadman hymnal, and this was put in the Broadman hymnal, and you know, the piece by Stainer, For God So Loved the World, is in there. These were meant to be anthems for choirs. So the Broadman hymnal did make some effort at elevating the taste of the time. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it published in 1940? I think so. That was the year I was born. And I think is it still in print? Maybe so, I'm not sure.
Well, you're still in print, so it should be too.
I'm hard to read, I'm fading.
Roger, great.
Just this week, I was trying to think of a song that they told me that it was my dad's favorite hymn. He passed away before I knew a lot about that, and I think it was Peace Be Still, and they left it out of the Baptist hymnal. And of course, you know, some of us who really liked it, and they said it was because it never really gets into the I can't say my words, the theology of the faith. And that was just one thing, but it had so many songs that were brought on over to the Baptist hymnal.
Well, Francis, I'm curious, how did you come to the Episcopal Church?
I married into it.
Isn't it supposed to work the other way around, that the husband does where the wife wants to go?
Well, my situation was that I had always gone to church and I was rather faithful in it, but I was married before, and my husband at that time never would attend. So when Raymond said that he would be more comfortable in the Episcopal Church, I said, if you'll go to church with me, I will go wherever you want to go. And I'm glad I'm here. I mean, with all of you. It's only been since 1992, but I'm real happy where I am.
Well, we're happy that you're at St. John's. You just add so much.
Well,
The priests talk about how engaged you are in everything. You participate, and you're just on all these Zoom meetings, which is wonderful.
I asked my son, I said, we're going to have Zoom, and I can't get into it. He said, Mother, you can't get into it because you don't have it on your computer. He helped me. That's what I knew about Zoom.
Betsy?
Well, yes, ma'am.
Is this, I was under the impression this was the last class. Are you going to continue it? Because I thought we were just doing it for the month of May.
Well, you can stop anytime you want to, but I thought I would just continue it. It's called Tunes in June on Zoom.
That's great. Do we use the same meeting?
Same
code
ID number, yeah. But you know, I didn't want.
Great.
But if we want to stop, we can do that. Whatever you want. This isn't for me. So I'm here. And if you've got something interesting or not interesting, just something you want to talk about, church music, just send me an email. Okay. So I think.
Is there any way to?
Oh my gosh! Look what Claire. Oh, there's the Baptist hymnal. Go, Claire. Is that
Mom
Rodman?
wanted me to show it
Rodman,
to you.
do you see
Had
that?
it sitting on the piano. So if anybody wants to take a look, let me know.
Yeah, I bet Roger's got a few of those.
Well,
I've got Methodist hymnal. But
well,
I think
I do have a Baptist hymnal, but I don't know if I have the latest one or not. They change pretty often, it seems to me. So.
Right.
First Baptist is using Celebrating Grace hymnal.
Yeah, that's the put out at Mercer, I think, Mercer University or something.
I'm
maybe.
not sure they bought it a couple of years ago.
The point about that hymnal is that it's not Southern Baptist. That's the main point of that hymnal.
Okay. That sounds like another kind of topic though, doesn't it?
It is, yeah.
All right. Well, we're past our time, but y'all send me your ideas, and nothing is bad idea. I want you to inspire me.
Thank you, Betsy and Marissa. I'm looking forward to continuing with y'all.
Yes. Yeah. And I can't thank Marissa enough because believe me, you'd have seen more braziers and whatnots. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'll never forget that.
Betsy, is there any way to call in, or do they just?
Yeah, you can call in too.
Okay. Is there a number on the website? Or?
Yes, there's a number as well.
I was thinking my sister might like to join.
Okay.
Do Zoom.
Absolutely.
I'll let her know.
All right. All right. Well, good night, all. Send me your suggestions. Tunes in June. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. Are you okay? I'm pressing unmute and nothing happens. Why is that?
That was good.
Well, I want to unmute when I do it.
It did.
Now it did.
Yeah.
It's just
I clicked unmute at the same time you did.
Is that what really happens? Okay. Well, sorry about that little blip.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Parcel, but anyway, thank you. You were busy tonight.
Okay.
All right. And what was your
Yeah, sorry. I just wasn't on it. And then
you were fine. You're great. You're kidding me?
Well, and then I cooked dinner tonight. So I realized at 5:58 that it was 5:58. And
I'm glad you're here. What'd you cook?
Pizza. Cheez-Its. Nice.
No, Michael's going to cook something. And pizza was good then. You cooked pizza or you ordered pizza?
I cooked it.
Oh my gosh. This is still recording. How do I stop this? Well, anyway, it was a lively discussion.